About 8 months ago, at the start of lockdown, I began watching Full House, and I didn't stop watching Full House until it finished. And for the record, I have since then watched Fuller House, not completely finished it. But after watching Full House and it finished, I felt like there was a huge gap in my heart. So I went in search of other ways to explore it, and I came across Jodie Sweetin's memoirs, Unsweetened. So I'm not going to go into extensive detail about this. I don't want to spoil all the nitty gritty aspects. But to be truthful, the majority of the book is nitty gritty. This is one of the most raw books that I have ever read. It's brutally honest, and I have nothing but admiration for Sweetin for doing that. So Jodie Sweetin played Stephanie Tanner, who is easily my favourite character in Full House. And she started the show when she was, I believe, 5 and finished when she was 13. The book actually starts with her recounting her most recent relapse as a drug addict. She is or was, depending on how you wish to look at it, alcohol dependent, quite a heavy drug user. Not that surprising given the fact that she was a child star and then was just kind of almost left to her own devices in terms of how the industry went after Full House finished. And after the rather explosive beginning, Sweetin does take us through her time at Full House, which for me was obviously fantastic to read and thoroughly, riveting and insightful. And then it goes into what her life was like as a 13, 14, 15-year-old girl who has just gone from only really knowing herself as Stephanie Tanner to having to now live in a world where she is just herself and doesn't really know herself. And it looks at the first time she had a drink, which is at a very interesting situation, which I won't disclose. You can find out in the book, but it's really interesting. And then it just shows us her downward spiral from there. And obviously part of the problem is because she made a lot of money on Full House, of course, and didn't necessarily have to live in the real world. She could live quite a free and easy lifestyle for quite a long time. And yeah, she takes us through all of that. And it's, as I said, it's brutally honest. So obviously the Full House chapters are quite light-hearted. There are some moments where we get kind of some raw emotions of how Sweetin maybe felt isolated or alone. There are some rather interesting anecdotes about a brief time when she didn't get along with Candace Cameron, which is weird to think now because Fuller House exists, but at the time when this was published, it didn't exist. This was published in 2010. So it's quite interesting to kind of look back now that we know where Sweetin is 10 years later. But this was only 10 years ago. That's not a long time ago. And it's very emotional and hard to read. I'm not going to go into any great detail, but I do think, I hope, this was published by Gallery Books, by the way. I have to say, the copy I have is abysmal. Like, the publishing quality is just so rubbish. And I don't know why. I don't know if I just got a bad print. This is the only time I've seen it in flesh. But it's really poorly published. But aside from that, the content is riveting. It's brilliant. It's, it doesn't spill too many Hollywood secrets in terms of information about other people. Sweetin is very honest about herself, the things she did to herself, and obviously by default the way that affected other people. It's amazing. It's admirable. I don't know if I would ever have the guts to kind of write something so brutally honest about anything I've done. I don't know if I ever have done anything that would require such brutality. Obviously, I don't drink and I've never done drugs. But in a way, that kind of makes it just as hard to read because it shows how somebody who was known as this sweet little girl could spiral into such darkness. And I wish her nothing but the best. Obviously, watching Fuller House, we know that she is at least well and doing okay. What goes on behind the scenes, I don't know. But as I said, I wish her all the best. The book is incredible. I hope in 10 years' time she writes us an update because I'd love to know where her life has taken her. She's an amazing personality. She's got a fantastic outlook. And it's just incredible. It's got some fantastic reviews. If you're interested in celebrity biographies, autobiographies, or just honest accounts, I think Jodie Sweetin's UnSweetined is one for you.